Is water the most important requirement for growth? While it may not be the only important aspect for growing crops, it is one of the most important requirements that must be there for growth to occur. Hey there plant lovers, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about one of the most important aspects of plant care, watering. Knowing when to water your plant can be very tricky, but it is essential to keep them healthy and thriving. In this video we'll show you how to know when to water your plant and how frequent to do so. First things first, let's talk about the signs that your plant is thirsty. The most obvious sign is wilting. When a plant is thirsty, its leaves will start to droop and wilt. This is a clear indication that the plant needs watering. However, not all plants show wilting as a sign of thirst, so it's important to know your plant specific needs. Another sign that your plants need water is when the soil is dry on touch. You can check the soil moisture by sticking your finger about an inch deep into the soil. If it feels dry, it's time to water your plants. However, if the soil is still moist, you can wait a little longer before watering. When it comes to watering your plant, it is important to do it correctly. Overwatering can be just as harmful as underwatering. The best way to water your plant is to give them a good soak. Water the soil until it's evenly moist and not waterlogged. Another tip is to water your plants in the morning. This allows the water to be absorbed by the plant before the heat of the day evaporates it. Watering in the evening can lead to excessive moisture, which can cause fungal growth and other problems to your plants. Some plants benefit from misting. Misting can help increase humidity, which is especially important in certain crops. However, not all plants need misting. You need to do your research before you decide if your plant requires misting or not. And misting is particularly important in tropical zones. Folks, now you know when your plant needs water, how to do it correctly, how frequently to do it, the right time to do it. It's also worth noting that watering plants is not just about taking water and pouring on the crop. There are some very important things that you need to consider, like the seasonality. You know, when it's summer, the amount of water that you'll apply on your crop is more than when it is winter. Also, factors like the availability of water. You know, you spend what you have. So if you have a large amount of water, then you can water your plant more than when you have limited amount of water. You'll have to ration the water. The other factor is the type of irrigation. You know, some crops favor sprinkler irrigation or what we call overhead irrigation, while others are better off when you go about it using drip irrigation. Type of irrigation will determine the amount of water that you'll use on your crops and also the frequency of irrigation. For example, drip irrigation is a better means if your goal is to have an efficient irrigation system and if you are looking towards using little amount of water. The other factor can be the type of crop. You know, a crop will determine the frequency at which you apply the water and the very amount that you will apply on the crop. Then we have the stage of growth. As we know, crops have 3 stages: the early stage, the vegetative stage, and the reproductive stage. The early stage and the vegetative stage tend to need more water as you compare to the reproductive stage, but that of course also is determined by the type of crop, geographical location. For example, in the tropics, the rate of evapotranspiration is very high, so you need to apply water more frequently and in large amounts as you compare if you are in the temperate regions. The other very important factor is the plant physiology. It's important to understand the physiology of your crop before you determine the watering regime that you are going to adopt, because some crops are tolerant to water shortage while others are tolerant to excessive water. So you have to know the balance in between so that you come up with the best watering regime for your crop. Also, the plant physiology will be able to guide you on the water requirements of the crop in terms of amount. The other most important factor is the water quality. Plants do not tolerate water of poor quality. So you have to determine the amount of salts in your water. Some plants don't tolerate higher amount of salts, but there are those which are very well adapted to high salt conditions. These are called the halophytes. You have also to determine the amount of heavy metals in your water. Most crops do not tolerate heavy metals. It poisons the crops. Heavy metals are such as lead and such. When you consider all these factors, it will be easier for you to come up with a watering regime that will result in higher yields, water efficiency, and such factors. And there you have it, folks. Don't forget to subscribe to Stepwise Gardening, and I'll see you on the next one.